Hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Thank you for coming to Vinyasa Yoga tonight. My name is Julia, and I'll be guiding you through your practice. Before we begin, I'm just going to read the William & Mary Campus Rec waiver. In order to make these classes as freely accessible to our participants, we will be using a verbal warning and assumption of risk at the beginning of the class. Participation in this online class is voluntary. Physical activity programs may result in injury, and by participating, you assume the risk of injury that may result from your participation. We strongly recommend that you participate from a space that is suitable for this activity. For example, make sure that you have moved nearby furniture and other potential hazards. If you are participating in a yoga class or a class that involves laying on the ground, we recommend using a mat, or if you don't have one, a carpeted area. Participants are encouraged to stop if they experience pain or injury and should seek appropriate medical advice or care as needed. William & Mary Health and Wellness strongly recommends that each participant have an annual physical examination and follow the advice of your healthcare provider before participating. All right, so let's have a seat on our mats, cross-legged. Reaching through the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, rolling the shoulder blades down the back. Allow the gaze to soften or the eyelids to close. Emptying out all the air from your lungs, starting on empty, and taking a deep, slow inhale through the nose. Filling up the lungs as much as you can, and then cleansing exhale. Again, deep, slow inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, cleansing exhale. Once more, deep, slow inhale. Cleansing exhale. Blink the eyes open, reach your arms up towards the ceiling. On an inhale, reaching the elbows towards each other, drawing the shoulder blades down the back, cactus arms. Exhale, reach back up towards the ceiling. Inhale, cactus arms. Exhale, extend. Inhale, cactus arms. Exhale, extend. Reaching up and over to the right for a side stretch, keeping space between the shoulders and the ears, keeping the weight evenly distributed between your sits bones. Coming through center, over to the left. Through center to the right, maybe going a little bit deeper. And once more to the left. Coming back to center, making your way into tabletop. With your shoulders stacked over your wrists and your hips stacked over your knees. Elongating the spine. And on your inhale, dipping the back, bringing the gaze forward for cow. Exhale, round the spine, tuck the chin, cat. Moving through cat and cow a few times at your own pace. Meeting in neutral tabletop. Extending your right arm out in front as if you were to shake someone's hand and pressing back through your left heel, creating one line from your fingertips to your heel, engaging the core, drawing your navel up towards the rib cage. Round the spine as you bring your knee to your elbow and hold. Extend. Now moving into fire hydrant, bending your elbow and your knee out to the side. So your arm and your leg are parallel to the mat. And extend. Knee to nose, knee to elbow, extend. Fire hydrant, bending out to the side, flexing your foot, and extend. Once again, knee to elbow. Extend. Fire hydrant. And back to center. Lower your hand, lower your knee. Take some hip circles in both directions. And extend your left arm and your right leg. Rounding the spine, knee to elbow. Extend. Fire hydrant. Extend. Knee to elbow. Extend. Fire hydrant. Extend. And one more time, knee to elbow. And fire hydrant. Lower your hand, lower your knee. Take a few more hip circles. Tucking the toes, send the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Pedaling up the feet, really pressing into the roots of the fingers, chest coming towards the thighs, releasing the head and shoulders. And finding stillness. Bring the gaze to the top of the mat, slowly stepping forward to forward fold. Generously bending the knees, hips stacked over ankles, releasing the head and shoulders. Ground through the feet and slowly rise to upward salute, arms up overhead, drawing your hands through heart center to Tadasana. Really grounding through the three corners of the feet, below the big toe mound, the little toe mound, and the heel, drawing up through the kneecaps, externally rotating the shoulders, stacking your shoulders over your hips, over your ankles, and reaching your arms up towards the ceiling, an upward salute, just like we did at the beginning of class while we were seated. On your exhale this time, on your exhale, bending the elbows back behind you, shoulder blades reaching towards one another. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend. Inhale, reach. Great job. Now, having a generous bend in the knees, let's fold forward from the hip creases with a flat back all the way to forward fold. Halfway lift, drawing the fingertips up the shins with a flat back. And back to fold. Grounding through the feet as you slowly rise back up. Drawing the hands to heart center, sitting back into chair pose, Utkatasana. With the chest nice and lifted, you should still be able to see the tips of your toes. Maybe sinking the hips a little bit deeper. Option to extend your arms overhead. Awesome job. Just a little bit deeper and forward fold. Halfway lift. Back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back with the left foot, then the right to plank. Lower your knees to the mat, untuck your toes, keep your elbows hugging in by your sides as you lower all the way down on the mat with your forehead resting on the mat. Really pressing the tops of the feet into the mat so your legs are engaged, kneecaps lifting without any weight in the hands. Inhale, peel the chest off the mat. Bhujangasana, baby cobra, gaze lowered. Exhale, lower back down. Press your hands into the mat, tuck the toes. Send the hips up through tabletop to downward dog. Lifting the left leg up high to three-legged dog, dialing the pinky toe to point towards the mat so that your hips are even. Bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest and plant the left foot. Lower the knee, lower the back knee, untuck the back toes. Left hip crease drawing back, right hip drawing forward. and rise to low lunge, reaching up towards the ceiling. On your next exhale, you know where to go, elbows reaching back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, reach. Inhale, back up. Lower your hands down to the mat and extend your front leg to runner's lunge, flexing the foot, opening up the hamstring. Rolling forward, plant your hands on the mat, tuck the back toe, lift the knee, step back to downward dog. Lift the right leg, bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, plant the foot, lower the back knee, untuck the back toes. Right hip crease drawing back, left hip drawing forward so that your hip points are evenly facing the top of the mat, and reach up, rising to lower lunge. You know, to do at your own pace, moving through this heart-opening breath a few times. When you're ready, lower the arms, extend the front leg, flex the foot, runner's lunge. Rolling forward, plant your hands on the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the knee, send the right leg back to three-legged dog, lower your toes to the mat, bring the gaze to the top of the mat, slowly stepping forward to fold, and rise to upward salute, drawing your hands through heart center to Tadasana. With your hands at heart center once again, sitting back into chair. This time lifting the left heel and lower. Lift the right heel, lower. Sink a little bit deeper with the hips and then lift both heels. You got it. And lower back down, forward fold. Halfway lift, back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank. Shoulders stacked over wrists, engaging the core, reaching through the crown of the head and pressing back through your heels. You can either lower all the way down and take cobra, or you can come forward on the toes, lower halfway to chaturanga, and pull through to upward facing dog with your hips and your knees up off the mat, gaze forward. And we'll all meet in downward dog. Lift the left leg, bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, plant that foot, lower the back knee, untuck the back toes, and rise to lunge. Clasping your hands behind the back with your left thumb on top, elbows bent, reaching towards one another, extend the arms, taking a slight back bend, keeping the chin tucked to protect the neck. And release arms up. Lower the arms, extend the leg, runner's lunge. Rolling forward, plant your right hand on the mat, opening up towards the left for a twist. Keeping your front knee stacked over your ankle, opening up the chest towards the ceiling. Counter the twist, open up towards the right. Plant your hands on the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the knee, stepping back to downward dog. Lift the right leg, bend the knee, draw it in towards the chest, plant that foot, Lower the back knee, untuck the back toes, and rise. Clasping your hands with the right thumb on top. Slight back bend. Arms back up. Lower the arms down, runner's lunge. Rolling forward, plant the left hand on the mat, open up towards the right for a twist. Counter the twist. Plant both hands on the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the knee, stepping back to downward dog. Bring the gaze to the top of the mat and step or float to forward fold. Rise to upward salute. Drawing the hands through heart center to Tadasana. Feel free to grab water anytime you need. Lifting the arms back up and forward fold. Halfway lift, back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank. And roll onto your right side, opening up to side plank. If this is too much, you can lower your knee or create a kickstand, keeping a micro bend in the elbow, lifting up the hips, opening up the chest towards the ceiling, energetically reaching up. Amazing job. Just a few more breaths here. And lower to plank. Take a vinyasa flow of your choice. That can be cobra, upward dog, cat and cow. And we'll meet in downward dog. Lift the left leg, plant the left foot, coming up to crescent lunge. So our front knee is stacked over the ankle, up on the ball of the back foot, hips facing forward, arms up. At your own pace, moving with the breath, reaching the elbows back towards one another and extend. Lowering your hands back down to the mat, step back to downward dog. Lower your knees to the mat, untuck your toes, bring your hips to your heels in child's pose, resting your forehead on the mat. Reaching your arms out in front, lift the hips, tuck the toes, downward dog. Step or float to the top. Rise. Hands to Tadasana, coming right back up. And forward fold. Halfway lift, back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank. This time rolling onto your left side for side plank. Taking any modification that you need to. You got it, just a little bit longer. And lower back to plank. Take a vinyasa flow of your choice, meeting in down dog. Lift the right leg, plant the right foot, up to crescent lunge. Moving with the breath, elbows back and up. When you're ready, planting the hands on the mat, step back to downward dog. Taking child's pose. Lift the hips, tuck the toes, downward dog. Step or float to the top and rise. Hands to Tadasana and right back up. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank, take a vinyasa flow. Once we're in down dog, let's lift the left leg. This time bend the knee and open up the hips, stacking one on top of the other. Keeping the weight evenly distributed between your two arms. Square the hips, extend your leg, come forward to three-legged plank, and bring your knee to your left elbow and hold. You got it. Extend, knee to right elbow. Extend, awesome job. Now plant that left foot, coming up to crescent lunge. Grabbing, so that you can see, grabbing your left wrist with your right hand. Reaching up and over to the side for a side stretch. Back to center. And clasping your hands behind your back with the left thumb on top. Opening up the chest. Slight back bend. And reaching the arms back up. Now planting the back foot, opening up the hips to the side in warrior two. Again, with your front knee stacked over your ankle, grounding through the outer edge of the back foot, shoulders stacked over hips, arms out to a T, gaze over the front fingertips. Flip the front palm, reach forward, up and back to reverse warrior. Back to warrior two, pivot onto the ball of the back foot, lower your hands back down and open up for a twist to the left. Counter the twist. Plant your hands on the mat, stepping back to downward dog. Lifting the right leg, bend the knee, open up the hips. Square the hips, extend your leg, come forward to three-legged plank, knee to right elbow. Awesome job, extend, knee to left elbow. Extend and plant the right foot. Come up to crescent lunge. Grabbing the right wrist with your left hand, reaching up and over for a side stretch towards the left. Back to center, clasping your hands behind your back with the right thumb on top. Slight back bend. Reaching your arms back up. Open up your hips to the side, plant the back foot, warrior two. Gliding the shoulder blades down the back. Flip the front palm, reach forward, up and back, reverse warrior. Back to warrior two. Pivot back to crescent lunge. Lower your hands to the mat, open up for a twist. Plant your hand on the mat and step forward to fold. Rise to upward salute. Hands through heart center to Tadasana and right back up. Forward fold. Halfway lift, back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank. Take a flow if you would like and meet in downward dog. Lift the left leg, plant the left foot, coming up to warrior two. Reverse warrior. Back to warrior two. Clasping your hands behind your back with the left thumb on top. Extending your arms, shoulder blades gliding down the back. Now really engaging the core and lifting the chest up and out to the side as if we were coming into extended side angle. Chest really lifting up towards the ceiling. Engaging the core, keeping the front knee stacked over your ankle. Stay with the breath. Grounding through the outer edge of the back foot. Great job, and rise. Back to warrior two. And shortening your stance, extending your legs with a micro bend in each knee. Bump out the back hip, reaching forward. Lower your fingertips to your shin or to the mat in triangle. Gaze can be lower to your foot, or you can tuck the chin and bring your gaze to your extended upper arm. Really stacking the shoulders, engaging the core, staying light on the fingertips. And rise back to standing. Lower to downward dog. This time lift the right leg, planting the right foot, and coming up to warrior two. Flip the front palm, reverse warrior. Back to warrior two, clasping your hands with the right thumb on top. Reaching the chest up and over. Sticking with the breath, keeping the core engaged. Reaching the chest up towards the ceiling. Or opening the chest up towards the ceiling. A couple more breath cycles here. And rise, warrior two. Shorten your stance a little bit, straighten the legs, bump out the back hip, reaching forward, lower to triangle, Trikonasana. Rise back up, lower your hands to the mat, and step forward to fold. Rise to upward salute. Hands through heart center to Tadasana. Reaching back up and forward fold. Halfway lift, back to fold. Plant your hands on the mat, step back to plank, take a flow if you would like, and meet in down dog. Lift the left leg, plant the foot, come up to warrior two. Reverse warrior. clasping the hands behind the back, left thumb on top, side angle. And rise. With your hands on your hips, let's parallel the feet to one another. Again, clasping your hands behind the back. With a micro bend in each knee, let's extend the spine and fold forward from the hip creases with a flat back to wide-legged forward fold. Once you've gone as far as you can with a flat back, you can release the spine. Option to extend your arms for a shoulder stretch. Bend the elbows, ground through the feet, and rise back up. Release the bind and bring your heels slightly in this time with your arms out in cactus arms, bending the knees into goddess pose, knees tracking over your ankles, really engaging the core, lifting the left heel up and lower. Lift the right heel, lower. Sink a little bit deeper, lift the left heel, lower. Lift the right heel, lower. And lift both heels if that's accessible to you. Maybe sink a little bit deeper. And lower the heels, reach back up, and make your way into warrior two with the right leg in front. Reverse warrior. Clasp the hands behind the back, right thumb on top. Reach up and over. Beautiful job, and rise. Lower the hands back down to the mat, step back to downward dog. Lower the knees to the mat, taking child's pose. Reach your arms out in front, lift the hips, tuck the toes, downward dog. Step or float to the top and rise to upward salute. Drawing the hands through heart center to Tadasana. Pausing for a breath cycle. And reaching up towards the ceiling. Another forward fold. Halfway lift. Back to fold. Plant the hands on the mat, step back to plank. Lower the knees, untuck the toes with your knees out wide and your toes together. We'll move into thread the needle. So open up towards the left and thread through to a hover. Open back up, thread to a hover. Reach up towards the ceiling, and this time thread through all the way, lowering your shoulder onto the mat. Pressing your hand into the mat, up overhead. Press your hand into the mat, underneath the shoulder, reach back up, lower both hands to the mat, and open up towards the right. Thread through to a hover. Extend. Thread to a hover. Extend. This time, thread all the way through, lower your shoulder onto the mat, pressing your palm into the mat up overhead. Press your hand into the mat underneath the shoulder, lift back up. Lower both hands to the mat and make your way into a seated position with the soles of the feet pressed together in butterfly. Reaching for your ankles, reaching through the crown of the head. And rounding the spine in cat back, pulling through to cow back. Moving through cat and cow back a few times at your own pace. Meeting back in neutral spine. Let's bend the knees with the tips of the toes still on the mat and your knees apart so that your legs are like in a diamond shape. We're gonna move into boat pose, Navasana, but our legs are still gonna be in this diamond. So really reaching through the crown of the head, elongating the spine, engaging the core. Let's lift the legs, reaching your arms forward. If this is too much, you can just do one leg at a time. Diamond leg boat. And if it's accessible, let's see if we can thread our arms through the legs so that our elbows are coming underneath the knees. Really lifting through the chest, reaching through the crown of the head. Beautiful. Let's stay here for 5 breath cycles. Amazing job. Unwind the arms, reaching forward, and lower to canoe. Stay strong, hold, and lower all the way down onto your back. Bend the knees, planting the soles of the feet on the mat. Walking your feet out wide, mat width apart, with your knees resting together in the center, arms down by your sides. And lowering your knees over towards the left for a traction twist. Coming back through center, pause, and lower to the right. Coming back to center, walking the feet in a little bit with your knees pointed up towards the ceiling. Lift the left leg, flex the foot, externally rotate at the hip, and cross your ankle over your right thigh. Again, flexing the foot and reaching for your right thigh, clasping your hands around, and coming into this supine figure 4. You can sort of nudge your left thigh away from the body with your elbow for an added sensation. Lower back down, uncross the legs, reach your right leg up towards the ceiling, externally rotate, cross your ankle over your thigh, reach for the thigh, draw it in towards the chest, flexing both feet. Gently release, uncross the legs, windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Then hug the knees in towards the chest, rocking a little forward and back, side to side. Reaching for the outer edges of the feet, drawing the knees in towards the armpits for happy baby. Drawing your tailbone towards the mat, maybe rocking a little side to side. And when you're ready, slowly release, lowering your legs down onto the mat with your arms down by your sides, allowing the feet to splay apart. Allow the gaze to soften or the eyes to close. Doing a full body scan from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, releasing any remaining tension. And settle into your Shavasana. Start to bring awareness back into the body, wiggling the fingers and the toes, drawing circles with the wrists and the ankles. Reaching your arms up overhead in a full body stretch. And using your arm as a pillow as you roll onto your right side. Use your hands to press yourself back up to seated. With your palms together at heart center. Namaste. All right, that's all for today. Thank you all so much for coming. Again, my name is Julia. I hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend. Thank you.